So picture this, a plan so perfect, it was practically guaranteed to work, a strategic masterstroke designed to cripple a rival's superpower. But what happens when that perfect plan doesn't just fail? What if it backfires and ends up creating something even stronger?
And that's the big question, right? How did America's attempt to put China's tech ambitions in a cage end up basically handing them the keys to a whole new kingdom? Okay, so let's rewind a bit. It all kicked off in October 2022. The US government launched what was, for all intents and purposes, an economic declaration of war. A whole series of export controls designed to stop China's tech progress dead in its tracks.
And whoa, the fallout was instant and just brutal. We're talking about a market shock so big that it vaporized a combined $240 billion in value from tech companies both inside and outside of China. On paper, it looks like a massive, massive success.
So what was this master plan? How'd they do it? Well, it was this brilliant, three-pronged lockdown strategy, engineered to choke off every single critical thing China needed to build advanced AI.
It was incredibly thorough. First, they hit the brain. They blocked the American software that you need to design these advanced chips. Then they blocked the hand, those one-of-a-kind Dutch machines you need to physically print the chips. And finally, the muscle. They blocked the powerful NVIDIA chips that you need to actually run the AI.
I mean, think about it. No brain to design the chips, no hands to make them, and no muscle to run them. China was completely cut off. It seemed like the AI race was over before it even really began. Game over, right?
But, and this is a huge but, Washington made one massive, critical mistake. They understood the game, they saw all the pieces on the board, but they totally misunderstood the players sitting on the other side.
See, America was playing chess, thinking about quarterly profits and stock prices. The logic was sound. If you kill a company's profits, the company dies. But China? China was playing a completely different game. They weren't playing for profit, they were playing for survival. The only goal was self-reliance.
And their response was just incredible. Beijing basically came out and said, "Profits. Who cares about profits right now? We will burn cash until we are completely free of US influence." They decided to just pour state money into their tech companies, not to make a buck, but just to make them independent.
Okay, and this is where the story gets really wild. You'd think, backed into a corner like that, they'd fold. Nope. China got creative. They came up with these incredible workarounds that nobody, and I mean nobody, saw coming.
First up was a software trick, a really clever idea called mixture of experts. It was essentially a way to solve their hardware problem by just being way, way smarter with their software.
Let me break it down for you. Imagine you have a scraped knee. A normal AI is like sending 250 doctors, brain surgeons, heart specialists, the whole crew to put on a single Band-Aid. It works, but it's total overkill. China's new model is like having a smart receptionist at the front desk who just pages the one nurse you actually need. You get the same results, but you use a tiny fraction of the resources.
And they did the same thing with their hardware problem. The US ban basically made the door for data to move between chips super, super tiny. So what did China do? They just figured out how to fold up the sofa, the data, like an IKEA flat pack, squeeze it through the tiny door, and then build it again on the other side. Problem solved.
But all these clever software tricks led to a brand new, massive problem. They were stuck using big clusters of weaker, inefficient chips. Think of it like this. The good NVIDIA chip they were banned from is like a big, efficient semi-truck that uses about 700 watts. The chips they could get, they're like a bunch of tiny scooters. To do the same job, you need a whole swarm of them, and together they burn 4 times the power, a whopping 2,800 watts.
So that should have been it, right? Checkmate. How on earth do you build an entire AI industry that costs 4 times as much just to turn on?
Well, China's answer was just breathtakingly simple and completely audacious. If your chips burn 4 times more power, you just make electricity 4 times cheaper. And they launched this national project that is almost impossible to wrap your head around. They started turning these huge, empty deserts into gigantic renewable energy farms. I mean, the Gobi Desert project alone is set to generate 450 gigawatts. To put that in perspective, that's more power than all of Germany and Brazil use combined. At their peak.
And the stuff they're building is straight out of science fiction. We're talking data centers built inside mountains for natural cooling. They're sinking servers to the bottom of the ocean to be cooled by the seawater. They are literally turning the entire geography of their country into one giant, super efficient computer.
So where does this all lead? What's the final result of these sanctions? They were supposed to be a kill shot, but instead of killing China's tech industry, they forced it to evolve into something entirely new, something completely independent.
And you know what fueled all this? Money. Just piles of it. While the US government spent years debating and finally approving about $8.5 billion for a company like Intel, China was just fire-hosing tens of billions, like a $47 billion fund, into its own companies with one simple instruction: get America out of your supply chain, period.
And just look what happened. For every single piece of American tech they were cut off from, they've built their own. No OpenAI? No problem, they've got DeepSeek. No NVIDIA? Fine, they have Huawei's chips. No Windows? They built Harmony OS. It's a whole parallel universe of technology, totally self-sufficient.
It's the ultimate irony, isn't it? The sanctions were meant to be a poison, but they ended up working like a vaccine. Yeah, it made China's tech sector really sick for about a year, but it came out the other side stronger, and now it's totally immune to American pressure. And here's the final kicker. Not long ago, the US tried to sell some new, watered-down chips to China, and you know what Beijing said? No thanks, we're good. They don't need them anymore. In fact, they're now actively protecting their own new ecosystem from what they see as another American virus. So that leaves us with this one massive question. The US thought it was building a cage to trap China, but what they really did was force China to build a whole new world outside that cage. Now the real question is, what happens when China starts selling that new world to the rest of the planet?